Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am shooting a little intimate video from the office while everyone is on a lunch break, talking about my nose job. Dum dum dum. It might be a little of a shock for you guys, but I didn't even think that I'm gonna be in a point in my life where I'll have to talk about it. But I guess my career is at a point where I am sharing so much with you guys, and this is not a secret or anything. I had my nose done over 13 years ago. So for me, that part of my life happened so long ago that I don't really walk around talking about it as much. Just to give you a little backstory, I had my nose done when I was about to turn 16. It was at a weird time in my life. Since I was very little, I had a weird obsession with my nose. I'm not sure why. Now that I look at photos, it wasn't that big. I mean, my face completely changed with the new nose, but it's not that it was big or like something so terrible. It's just always felt like it was like there wasn't room for it on my face. Like all my other features are so small and my nose just felt so out of place. So I always had that like fixation about it. And I feel like from a very early age, I was putting so much energy towards thinking about this, you know, complex that I had. And I was in general a kid that was like, I had a lot of complexes about myself. It's not at all like blaming my mother or anything at all, because she was like always so amazing and supportive and everything. I just think that some kids are born to be more sensitive to different things. And I think that for me, I feel like growing up, I think it's still happening around us, that a lot of people say to girls like, oh, you look so pretty, and put this nail color and put this lipstick. And I feel like in a way that happened to me, and I got this like label on me as a little girl, which is like not the worst thing, but I was never the smartest, I was never the fastest, I was never like good at anything else, or there was any other emphasis on anything else, that this pretty thing just stuck in my head. So I think that what happened is that I really started fixating on the way I look. And 13 years ago, it wasn't like it is today. It's amazing to see the progress we made in pop culture and society today, where you have so many amazing role models around. People not wearing makeup, people are proud of their freckles and wrinkles and all these different things. There's such a big emphasis on education and being smart and worldly. Everything is kind of at a reach, where 13 years ago as a teenager, all I was seeing is this picture perfect editorials in magazines. So for me, that was the bar of beauty. That was what being beautiful meant. And for me, I guess now kind of analyzing where I was in my life, I was just really trying to fit that label of being pretty, because if I couldn't fit that, then what am I? I don't have anything else going for me. That's what was going through my mind, because I just didn't know who I was, and I didn't know how to find who I was. This conversation of self-love and self-care wasn't even on the table back then. We obviously weren't as immersed in the online life. There was not much going on online. So again, the examples of everything, it was very limited. So I've expressed this thing with my nose to my mother quite often throughout the years. I never thought that there's such a thing. Like, I didn't know that you can do plastic surgery. I didn't know that it's like an option. But I always kept just being so insecure about it. I remember like every time I would be in a position where people would like take photos of me, I would always do this because of the size of my nose. When I looked up, that made it look smaller. You see quite a bit throughout my old photos that I was doing a lot of this, and I actually still have a little bit of that habit, just like putting my head up. My mind was truly occupied on my nose alone and not seeing all the other things that were going on for me as you know, a young girl and a young woman. And now that I think about it, it's still happening today. You see so many little girls and their parents, and it obviously comes from such a good place, but you see always parents say to their daughters, oh, you're so pretty, and you're so pretty, and you're so pretty. And different kids process that information differently. And that's another thing. It's like you can raise 5 girls the same, and each one of them will kind of receive those like different signals differently, and it may be something good that will develop into confidence for her, or bad where it will be, oh, this is who I am, I'm just pretty, right? So it's really nothing against my mother or the way I was raised. I feel like she really put everything she could towards giving me the most amount of confidence and self-esteem possible, but my brain worked differently, and the way I received that compliment of being pretty was basically a label, and this is it. I know when I'm gonna have a girl, wow, okay, a little future prediction. I know that if I'll ever have a girl, I would obviously make a point to tell her that she looks pretty, but I will really make it my life mission to show her all the other things that she's made of, other stuff that are so wonderful about her, if it's the way she thinks and her imagination and things like that. Anyways, going back to the story, at 15 I was discovered as a model with my old nose, with my original nose. I actually booked my first huge campaign in Israel with my old nose, and we actually flew to London, UK, we shot it there, and it was amazing. But again, on this shoot, I felt like I had all the tools to be a model. I was moving well, I could portray emotion, you know, I really felt comfortable in front of the camera, and I was a hard worker, but that insecurity kept me from progressing. You also have to remember, all of a sudden I was this girl that's insecure about her nose, which is pretty normal in like a regular surrounding, to being a girl who is so insecure about her nose in the modeling world, surrounded by models, being part of a fashion industry, having all these amazing opportunities that are there for you to take. I just don't believe in myself enough to do it. So for me, my nose became kind of the source of all the problems in the world, and it really like did a number on me, you know, in my brain. Like, it obviously was much more exaggerated than it actually was. My mother heard my concerns throughout the years, and she decided that, you know what, if this is really what's gonna fix it for you, and if this is something that's stopping you from really becoming who you want to be and going after the things that you want, let's do it. And back then, a nose job was a huge deal. It's not like today where, you know, you make a decision of getting your nose done, like going and buying a carton of milk in the convenience store. So it was a much bigger deal, both financially and, you know, physically and everything. And my mother decided to take that risk, and it cost a lot of money, especially for us. I mean, we're just, you know, lower middle class, and I'm forever grateful for my mother for listening to me and for kind of trying to do everything that she can to make sure that this won't be an issue. So I got my nose done. I was 16 already. Getting my nose done, I thought, would be the solution for all my insecurities and all my issues with myself. And hopefully you know by now that it is not. Once I got my nose done, I was still, you know, the same girl with the same kind of weird image of herself, insecure, doesn't know where she belongs, who she is, what she's good at, what she's not. Every little comment and every little critic, every little look made me feel like, you know, I was doing something wrong, you know, just really emphasized my insecurity more and more. And again, I was going through all of this that I think is pretty normal to a lot of teenage girls, but I was going through all of this while modeling and while being, you know, at shoots where I'm getting my picture taking and there's 40 people behind the camera all standing looking at me and whispering. And in my head, because I was so insecure, I always thought, oh, they're talking about me, I'm doing something wrong, where in theory the world doesn't revolve around you. They were talking about work or other stuff or whatever it is. I was like, Valeria, your nose, you know, the nose problem is gone, and yet you're still so insecure and compare yourself to so many other people and so many other girls. And if it's not the nose, then it's the boobs, and if it's not the boobs, then it's the hair, and you're not tall enough, and you're not fat enough, and you're not skinny enough, and you're not this, and you're not that. It was this constant blabbering. So I wish that back then I had a role model that I could look up to. I had access to some of the people that are online personalities now that really focus on putting a spotlight on the things that you love about yourself that are bigger than just the way you look. I wish I had all of that. I didn't know any better. And if I think now, you know, if I was back in that position in today's age of social media and people and I don't know if I would get my nose done. I don't know. I think that today there are so many awesome voices out there to remind you of, you know, your worth and how to find your worth and how to define yourself outside of like little boxes that society created for us. So I don't know if I would get it done again. Back to that 16-year-old who had this small nose that fitted the rest of my features. I didn't do anything else on my face. Some people ask me if I ever got my lips done. I didn't. If you see my mom and my brother, they have huge lips. So that's something that I was blessed with, and they actually grew a little bit after my pregnancies, which is weird, but I'm not complaining. My nose was done. I was still lost in the world, and that's when I was working as a model and I was traveling a lot. And if you've seen any of my previous videos about my modeling experience, you know that I traveled a lot around the world for work, and I was alone by myself a lot, like a lot. And at first it felt really sad, and I was a little depressed and lonely, and then it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because that's when I started really evaluating myself and redefining who I was. I was away from high school. I was away from my friends, you know, that were always kind of this cushion and this comfort zone for me. I just stripped all these labels that I had, that I put on myself or that I let other people put on me, and I just started figuring myself out by myself on my own terms. And being exposed to so many people and so many places and so many experiences, it really put me in a place where I drew the best things that I loved about all these experiences and people, and really kind of built myself from those characteristics. So I'm forever grateful for the fashion industry for putting me in a position where I had nowhere to run from myself, and it wasn't anymore about being the pretty girl. You're in a world of everyone's pretty, everyone is beautiful, and everyone's models, and so I really had to start digging deeper. I decided to really talk about this because I specifically got this one email, I think about few months ago, maybe 8 months ago, that kind of hurt me in a way. The fact that I got my nose done and the fact that I talk about self-love, it never really made me feel like I'm being fake about something, because again, I went through that experience where I got my nose fixed and it didn't fix who I was. I had to fix it. I had to figure out who I was. So I got this email from a person. The way it was written was kind of nasty. They were just like, how do you sit down and preach self-love when you have your nose fixed and you're pretending to be all these things that you are, and you're such a liar and such a fake. Up until then, I never even thought about the whole nose job thing because it just like happened so long ago. But I responded to that email and I said, thank you so much for your email and for the fact that my nose concerns you so much, but this is something that I went through. It was something that's kind of a personal experience, and it's my choice and my right to speak about it whenever I feel the need to. And I also mentioned, you know, if you think that fixing my nose made me to love myself and made me confident and self-assured and secured, then you obviously don't understand the concept of self-love, because some of the most insecure girls that I've met were models that were probably some of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my life. So there is no connection there. She actually responded back being, you know what, I'm really sorry for being so aggressive. You're right. It is your right to talk about whatever it is. It's something that you went through, as you know, it's something personal, and I would just love to hear the story whenever you decide to do it. So just kind of, I think, replying with, not with anger, but just with compassion, understanding, because I kind of also understood where she was coming from. I never thought about it that way. It's just, that's kind of when I started thinking about, okay, I need to make this video. So I'm making it today. My nose job is never something that I lied about. If people ever asked me, I told them. I didn't know that my life is gonna lead me to being in social media and being part of this world and, you know, having my life out there for you guys. So I never thought about making this, but I'm happy I made it. I by no means want this video to be a call to action for, especially for teenage girls that are naturally feeling insecure about different parts of their bodies. This is not a video saying go and fix it and you'll be fine, because you won't. But I'm also not against changes and making adjustments if you truly feel that it's hurting your life, and it takes, you know, everything out of you to deal with it. Like, I truly believe that you have to have self-awareness. You have to understand where it's coming from. And today we don't have an excuse. Today there's so much knowledge out there, there's so many people to talk to, there's so much information about how to build yourself and how to realize who you are, and so many people that you can learn from. So before considering changing anything about yourself, start with trying to get to the root of what really bothers you and what you don't like about yourself. I know that if I knew then what I know now, I don't know if I would go and change my nose. I would probably start focusing and putting a spotlight on the things that I loved about myself, and starting to put my energy into areas that I could grow in myself. So this is it, you guys. I did this video. I made it. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of comments and a lot of questions, and I am here to answer anything that you guys want to ask me about the surgery or about the process that I went through. Really about anything. I'm an open book. So I hope I answered some of you guys that asked me about the nose job questions. I had some people that sent me a DM, and I did tell them that I'm going to make this video. So this is it. Okay. Wow, that was a very long lunch break. I feel like the girls are trying to get back in. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.